You're listening to Hashtag Impact, a podcast about stuff that matters. I am Regina Larco, your host, and we are tracking down the most courageous change makers that are making the world a better place. If you're one of our regular listeners, you might notice that I sound a little bit different today. Yes, I am recording in my brand new home here in Vienna in an empty room with a big echo, just in my headset because I haven't even set up my professional mic yet. But I really wanted to make sure that you get this new episode on time. And if you subscribe to our newsletter at hashtagimpact.com/subscribe, you will also get a fun picture of the behind the scenes of how this improvised recording setup looks right in this moment. Enjoy. Today I sit down with Rainhard Fuchs, CCO and co-founder of Glacier, an Austrian-based startup that is bringing CO2 reduction and climate action to companies and their employees. Rainhard and me, we met at an event here in Austria a few weeks back. Actually, shout out to the wonderful team at Überall Scene Development and their really brilliant events, because I spotted you there and people pointed you out and they said, you know, if you're talking about making an impact, you gotta talk to Rainhard. And here we are today. Welcome to Hashtag Impact Podcast, Rainhard.
Thanks a lot for the nice introduction, and thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Yeah, you know, actually, I want to start off by asking you for a favor. Can I do that?
Sure.
I know that you are a very passionate mountain climber, and I would just love for you to take us to maybe to one of the most magical moments you've experienced up on a glacier. And because I have never been.
Well, two stories popped up in my mind immediately. Maybe firstly about once I've been on the biggest glacier of Austria, the Pasterze. It's in the heart of the Alps, and I got up at 2 a.m. That's the bit uncomfortable thing about mountaineering because it's safer to move in the morning, and we went on the glacier, and it's completely dark. You imagine it's still, the glacier is white. However, if there are clouds and it's the starry sky above you, and then slowly the sun moves in the scenery, which means that it's getting lighter and lighter and brighter. And then there's this special moment when the sun goes up, and it's very hard to describe it because you're surrounded in the Pasterze, especially because it's so vast. You are surrounded just by ice and snow, and everything really sparkles. And then the sun comes up, and it's still a bit cold, to be fair. However, it's just like a completely beautiful scenery, which is uncomparable in my opinion. So these moments when the night turns to day is just something which is always magical. No matter how often you experience that. And maybe the second thing I really have in mind is it wasn't actually the first descent I did, but I went to Tierra del Fuego, the Fireland in the southernmost part of South America, and did an expedition there. And we stood on the mountain of our initial goal after 1.5 years of planning, after a really bad weather period, which is quite normal for Patagonia. This is still considered as Patagonia, and when you are there in the tent for more than a week with storms, and it's like you can't really move out of the tent, because if you move out of the tent, you're completely soaked, you're wet. it's just like you don't want to be out there when there's a Patagonian storm, and then you work so hard for a certain target, and then you stand on the highest point of the peninsula. We have been there. You just screamed out into the void, into the silence there, because nobody was obviously there. And we were the first people standing on this mountain, and just the pure fact that you're the first person in the world to see exactly this scene in this moment was, I mean, I still get goosebumps now. Was just amazing, and that's all about nature, in my opinion. Really getting getting the energy from what is around us, and we don't need anything for that. You just need to go out there. It doesn't have to be a first ascent. It just can be the hill around your corner, and to go up there in the forest and so on. It gives you so much, and this is what I love about nature.
Hmm. And I can imagine that's a big motivation and driver when building and growing Glacier. And I
Absolutely.
remember now that first day we met was a super hot summer day, right? So going from that ice cold glacier experience to what we have all experienced firsthand, I think, across the globe, with extreme weather events, with extreme heat that we as humans just have to learn how to cope with. I guess, yeah. I mean, how do you feel about what's happening with our climate today?
I think I reflected on that a lot because I just recently returned from a small parental leave for my small child, and I spend a lot of time in the nature with my son and my partner, and it's it's two sided. So I don't know why, but I'm a super optimist. So I really I say, well, okay, this has to be solved in a certain way. So I don't feel depressed by also the events, because I know they are happening. I know they will be happening more regularly. This what we see right now is just a glimpse of what is coming, and that's of course frightening in the end. I mean, look what was happening this summer alone in Europe. I mean, all over the world. But if you looked at the magazines, the newspapers, the headlines, there were like 4 out of 5 headlines were about storms, wildfires, extreme temperatures. I mean, we had our team event. We went with the night jet, so the train to Paris to see Coldplay, because they're playing an environmentally friendly tour, which was amazing in the Stade de France with I think it was like 80,000 people or so. It's like massive. And at the very same day, it had 40 degrees in Paris. If you are not if you're not used to 40 degrees, it's just like you can't be outside. It's more or less impossible. I mean, you can, but then you are like kind of like destroyed in the evening, and actually also during the day, of course. And this is what makes me not really anxious, but kind of like motivates me more to do what we do. On the other side, I'm a bit puzzled by the reaction of the people, to be honest, because it's the more it's getting normal, the more we see it as normal in a certain way, and say, well, okay, let's move on. And this is what I still have to digest in a certain way, because I talked to a lot of people in the summer during my break, like regular people on the countryside, in the cities. I had time for talking in the end. And I don't have the feeling that we know what is coming. And we know not only what is coming, but what we are in right now. And it's not it's not about the tomorrow, it's also about the today. And we can make a change, and we can make a difference. This is proven. This is it's not only studies, it's what we have seen in the past and in history. uh, and this motivates me to get up every day.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what you're doing with Glacier. And yeah, so let us understand a bit better how you are bringing these topics also to your clients and to the target audience that you wanna, I guess, mm, get on board with you to take
Mhm.
little and big actions to face uh, the the climate crisis and to take action. So you are going into companies and talking to employees to get them to act. Right? I mean, that's I guess the very simplified version of what you do. But how does that work exactly?
Well, we our journey started actually almost 3 years ago. We went to Madrid to the climate change summit, to COP25, where we wanted to understand why the problem we have here, and climate change and climate crisis, you can refer to it however you want, is a problem since decades, and we are not capable of dealing with it in a substantial and positive way, in a certain way, and like to solve the problem. And we experienced it a bit with our products and ideas, and we came to the conclusion that we do have a certain problem when it comes to tackling or making climate action in the companies, but with employees. So taking them on board. Every job we do have at the moment and will have in the future is a climate job. That sounds a bit funny in the first thing. I was like, okay, what does it mean? But if you realize that we can all make an impact and make a difference, and it's really about the small and the little steps, then you realize, okay, well, this makes sense in a certain way. Think about the digitalization which happened over the past, like, let's say 20, 30 years. And before that, we didn't have that. So we didn't have a feeling of what is digital, what is, like, how can you, I mean, we are not meeting in person today. We are talking through the internet. And this is so normal for us. It's normal to be on our phone or use the phone. It's normal to be on our computers. And if you transfer that this mindset to environmental action, it's really about choosing the right options, which are more environmental friendly, climate friendly, and not choosing the options which harm our planet. So in this regard, it's we wanted to make an impact through employees. So it's employee driven, because we have seen that sustainability was in a certain way always hidden in a report, like in the annual report. Yeah, okay, we have a sustainability report. But if you talk to the actual people in the company, they have no clue about what the company is doing in the field. And it's not. This is also very important. Not everybody has to be an expert. So of course there is a certain team which deals with sustainability reporting and other stuff, which when it comes to ESG and SDGs and so on. But the company, and especially when you talk about the company is nothing else than its people. It's really that those should have a clue what makes a difference in the daily life. This could be like a very small decision when it comes to using less water in the toilet, something like that. But it could also include the product development when it comes to integral changes in the company structure, in the strategy. And this is something which needs to happen, because we do have regulations on the way, especially in Europe from the European bodies, which really prevents us in the future from doing more harm to our planet. Most companies don't really realize what is coming. But in starting from 2024, 2025, 2026, there are a couple of regulations like the EU taxonomy, CSRD regulation that is coming towards the companies to, forcing them in a certain way to be more climate friendly and to act more climate friendly. And maybe because this is something like more on a meta level, and what we do with our product is that we're going into two directions. In the first case, it's about inspiration and awareness. This is our climate week coming up in the second week of October. The next one, where we do have two live streams actually, where you can see it as kind of like a employee day as a service, which means that you do something for the good, and we provide you with the content, with the puzzle pieces. And the second thing is it's really about education, and this is also what we are extending in the future, that we offer online courses on the topic, but not only general courses. And we do have a beginner track, we do have an advanced track, but it also comes to certain departments. Because what is happening with the climate crisis? A lot of people. Let's talk about HR. A lot of HR departments are dealing with the topic when it comes to new employees, like applicants. They say, what are you doing in this field? How sustainable is your company? And if you're not prepared to that, for that, then it's definitely more difficult to get the right talent on board, because that matters in these days.
Mm. And you mentioned the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm glad you did, because this is our theme for season 5, where we've discussed a broad range of the SDGs and how they're all connected. Please, listeners, always feel free to go back to our very first intro episode. If I'm sure you've come across that term, but I think I keep repeating myself. The aha moment for me was always when I played the SDG game for the first time. I don't know if you did, Reinhard. If not, I highly recommend it. And it was so eye-opening how all of these are connected. But of course, for you with Glacier, you are working towards SDG 13, that points to taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. And when I look at the sdgs.un.org website, there are so many resources. And I always I'm not really a numbers person, to be frank, but I love how numbers, when presented in the right way, as they are on that website, are just so mind-blowing. And there I could read that energy-related CO2 emissions increased 6% in 2021, reaching the highest level ever. And now, I have to ask you, Reinhard, you said you're an optimist, that all these things that are happening are, you're taking on that challenge, and you wanna inspire people to take these little steps. But yeah, is it really gonna move the needle?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to, in a certain way, look. Climate action or environmental action is, the planet will still be there. It's really about the people and how we live. And we can't live the way we lived in the past decades, but we can choose how we would like to live it in the upcoming decades and centuries. And that's the important thing. Because in the end, if it would be around 5 degrees more in Europe, well, certain parts won't be habitable anymore, and we would have a major problem of living in a certain way. But the planet, it will still be there. It should. Some plants won't exist anymore. Some new plants will exist, I'm pretty sure. But it's the way, or it's how we choose to live in the future. And I think it's a mix of two things. Firstly, of course, innovation and technology. I'm a fan, I'm coming from the digital sector. However, this is not solely based. This will not solely be solved with technology and innovation. It's really about like behavioral change, how we live, how we do things, and it's possible. I mean, look at what options you had, environmental friendly options to eat just 10 years ago, or actually just 5 years ago. A lot's changed. And I'm aware that it's not happening in all of, I mean, I'm talking now about Vienna, for example, the options you can choose to eat healthy stuff. And I know it's different on the countryside. I'm not from Vienna. I'm from the south, and still there is also a lot of innovation happening, and also in other cities, in other countries. So we can make a change.
Hmm. Which one was maybe a habit that you had the biggest problem with maybe changing for the climate? Because we so lazy, we humans, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm the worst. Like, I'm really the worst. I want to be a role model for my kids. I want to do better. I think there's something about, you mentioned you have kids as well. There's something about once you become a parent, I think what you don't realize when you become a parent, like how much responsibility it really is, and how they are like constantly observing you, even in the moments when you think like they are not, and they hear everything, they see everything. And I really want, I mean, there's a lot of responsibility in that as well, as a human being, no matter if you're a parent or not. But I I find it still, I still notice myself with bad habits, where I know I should change that and I have to change that. Why am I not finally, stepping up? Like, I'm embarrassed to say. So now I'm like putting you on the spot. What thing was hard for you to like tackle, or maybe still is?
Uh, I'm far from perfect. And I think this is a very important message. It's not about being perfect. It's just about uh, being better, and getting better. So increasing and improving in small steps. For example, I do still do eat meat. I know that it's not like good. I mean, if you look at the carbon emissions, you can still argue, well, white meat is not that bad and so on. However, it's meat. It's a lot of implications, and a lot of different things which are not good about this industry. And but I still do eat it. However, I changed and reduced my meat consumptions a lot, because, and I think this is also very important, it's really about I mean, there's a saying about you are really kind of like the mix of the five people who surround you. And this is so true, because I see that in work. We do have a lot of vegans in the team, and I'm not, but we do have the climate action policy. So we introduced that a couple of months ago, where we as a company don't fund any meat options. So if we go for like a team lunch or whatever, and the company is paying, we don't pay anything related to meat. And I think this is a very important, this small step. And actually, I don't mind. I like it. I really like it. I reduced the consumption to not like a super minimum, but to like, let's say 2 to 3 times a week. And when I say about 2 to 3 times, it's also if you eat it like on the side, it's still you eat meat. So it's not like that I eat it like the whole day for the 3 times, but like once or so. And yeah, I reduced that. Second thing, maybe we still own a car. We have two, actually have three now with the child. But it, in a certain way, it would be also a mess to give away the car, just because it's still waste. And we decided to run it until it's done, more or less, which is actually by the end of the year, because it's 14 years old. And I got I bought a clima ticket, which is free transportation all across Austria for a certain amount of price, which is a bit more than 1,000 euros in Austria. In the end, this is like nothing. And I changed. I realized that I again changed my behavior. Before that, I really calculated it through. Well, if it's 1,000 euros, I have to travel like 10 times to this city and that and so on. The moment I got the ticket, I got this free pass, more or less. I loved it, and I don't. I don't think about like going to a certain place anymore. I just jump on the train. I love being in the train, and you can work from there and so on. And the public transportation system in Vienna is, anyways, like excellent. And it changes your mind. And I don't care about like really remote places anymore, because there's so many possibilities which are still connected to the public transportation system. That's totally fine. And yeah, so this is again about making incremental changes step by step.
Yeah, oh my God, we just give a shout out to the awesome public transportation system? Yeah. Yeah, if you have never been to Austria or Vienna, where we're now recording from, I mean, I hear that from people that come visit us here, that they are just blown away also by the affordability of it. They're like, what, this is for the whole year? When I mention what I pay for my Jahreskarte, right? So, I mean, kudos really to making it accessible, affordable. Yeah. And to then, even with the kids, I think sometimes it's often we think that, wouldn't it be easier to just jump in the car and, you have a lot of stuff when you're around with kids, right? So, but I mean, now, for example, for my kids, it's like, it's such an event. They love going on the U-Bahn and on the bus and on the tram, and they think it's fun to go on a journey like that. Like we also have a car, but they hate going in the car. So we are like most of the things we would take the U-Bahn. But again, you also mentioned you have family outside of Vienna, right? That's also, I think, the challenge we face. Like when we go visit places outside of Vienna, and I also have family in Lower Austria, we would take the car, and
it's okay. Yeah. It's not about like completely forbid the one or the other thing. It's fine. It's really about how often you use it in a certain way, because certain places are, when you talk about Austria, they're not connected to the public transportation system, and that's also okay. It's just really about look. I think 95% of the drives, that the car drives in Austria, are within 2 kilometers. This is exactly the thing you can change, and this is the behavioral change you can do. Saying, well, is it really necessary to go there by car? It's 2 kilometers. And about my child, I mean, he's cheering when the train moves in the station. He loves it.
Right.
He's really screaming like, "Ooh!" And also already kind of like this anticipation of entering the train.
Yes.
And again, it's. I think this matters, because it's a difference if you are used to go with the train or not. If you're always used to jump into the car and move and drive away, it's a different thing. And he really sees it from the very beginning, saying, "Well, this is like the a perfect option to move around." And you're getting more efficient, actually, when packing your stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like, is this really necessary? Am I going to drag that around?
Yes.
Especially the kids, they want to bring... Okay, I'm going on a tangent. Not a tantrum either, but... Okay, maybe let me not get into that thing. What things kids want to bring when they just go on a little trip. Yeah, but what I cannot leave out, Reinhard, and I know this might be a topic that would deserve its own podcast, and more time to really talk about that. But I know a lot of our listeners, they are founders themselves. They have started their own social enterprises. They are working to grow their impact, grow their team, looking for funding. And it just really makes me so happy to see your story, from because you founded this company. What was it now? A bit more than a year ago? Help me out here. How long has it been now?
It's about 2 years at a
Is
time,
it
like
two
legally
years now?
wise. 3 years unofficially because we had a quite a long research phase. I think this is very very important to all of the founders out there. If you consider founding a company, that you just sit down and really think it through. Still, in our case, you can think it through 100 times. Then, COVID hit our planet,
Hmm.
and a lot of plans changed for us because this is nothing we have foreseen
Yeah.
for a certain reason.
Hmm. But any words of wisdom from you besides the do your research part, before you start something, but also when it comes to successfully going through these funding rounds, what has helped you that could encourage maybe some of our listeners that are now currently looking to go into their first seeding rounds, and they don't really, I don't know. I think it's a lot about how you tell your story, right? And how can you convince others to believe in your vision as much as you do? I know you have your strong founding team, right? Let's give, of course, shout out to your co-founder Andreas as well, yeah. And it's always a
Absolutely.
team effort. But is there something that you have noticed that don't forget that thing when you're going to speaking with your potential investors?
Well, this is nothing new, of course, but it's all about the team. And you mentioned it beforehand. It's when it comes to investors, yes, the founders they matter a lot. In my case, I consider myself as really lucky to have Andreas on my side. It's amazing partnership, and we work on that also through individual and joint coaching. I think this is also very important. Maybe something which is still a bit like a
Yes.
taboo tema.
Yes.
And
Good. Yes. Let's root for that. I'm such a huge believer in investing in yourself and in coaching.
Mhm.
Sorry that I had to
Yeah.
jump in here because yes, most people don't mention that, right? Because they're like, oh yeah, people should think I'm already doing a great job. But of course you're learning always.
We would by no means be there where we are without the coaching.
Hmm.
Never, really. So this is like this is out of question because you have fights. You are of different opinion, but it's a matter of are you willing to uh, to work on that and to work on your partnership and your relationship. In the end, it's also quite often stated it's something like a marriage. Because you choose your partner, you would like to stay together. However, it's not always easy, and it's not always like the funny days and the positive days, and that's normal because without the lows, you don't have the highs in the end. And so maybe the coaching is something which is still not really discussed in the founder scene, and I'm a huge fan of it. And yes, it costs money, but it's so worth it. So, and like, don't think about the cost. Really think about the rewardings and the whole efforts and successes you get back. Of course, and on the other hand, what I mentioned with team, it's you are nothing without your team. I mean, also Andreas and I, we wouldn't be close to where we are at the moment because people believed in your idea, and this is what closes the loop to what you mentioned before to investors. You have to tell the story. And you have to find people who are willing to share their path with you. And I'm super grateful and happy about all of the people who joined us. Of course, those also who split ways. This is also perfectly fine because this is the way it is. This is life, and but it's this motivation of the team is essential. Otherwise, you won't have the successes. Maybe short terms, but not in a long term. Definitely not also in the mid range. And yeah, I'm just very humbled to have those people around me because most of or like almost all of them are better than I'm doing stuff in my profession, and it's just amazing also to see them grow and to learn from them each day.
And with that, of course, to many more success stories written by Glacier and Reinhard and your amazing team, with the upcoming Climate Week, with the upcoming expansion into other countries, with what I was very excited about, noticing the upcoming also English speaking content and the things that are in the works. So where people should get in touch, right? I mean, they should now start following Glacier and join your Climate Week, follow your IG. Where should people go to find you and to learn more? Is there a newsletter already? I always love signing up for newsletters.
Of course, there's a newsletter. So
there's a newsletter.
It's glacier.eco. Eco is actually also something which is quite bad in Google Analytics style. However, it was very, it's like .com and so on is way more efficient. However, it was also very important for us to have the statement eco stands for economy, but also ecologically. And the ecosystem we live in, and that we can make a business with an environmental idea. But also connect on LinkedIn. I'm partly active. I'm very active in general. However, I don't really find the time to post a lot of things. That's a thing I would like to change in the future.
Yeah. But I got you there. I got our meeting confirmed there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, we're very excited. And this is also what you can find on the website about our upcoming English courses, because so we wanted to do that for more than a year now. And we always had the internal discussions. However, if you do something in the right way, it should be like, so if we do something, it should be in the right way. And we needed the time to set it up and to really go into this field, because then, of course, the target groups are opening up, and we are very excited about that. And you can find more English speaking content, which is also kind of something of the future. We move. So internationally, we are present in 5 countries already. However, we'd like to expand to more countries and to bring our ideas and our thoughts about climate action into as many companies as possible.
Reinhard, I won't let you go. You know it probably, because I assume you have been binge listening to #Impact episodes ever since you heard about #Impact, since we met on that very hot summer day in Schloss Luxembourg, right? So you know what's about to come now. Our quick fire round. Are you ready?
Sure.
Making an impact means?
Inspiring people.
Who inspires you in the way they are tackling the Sustainable Development Goals?
All the people who are working for that on every day, especially on a voluntary basis.
And what could everyone do right now after they listen to this podcast episode to, and you're going to love this question, make the world a better place?
Well, when it comes to carbon emission, switch to green electricity, because it's the single most effective thing you can do. And the second thing would be, which is a bit different, mind the choice you're having for your next lunch or dinner or breakfast.
What are you going to have for lunch today?
We are going to an Persian restaurant in Vienna, and I'm looking forward to, great tiny and plant-based food there. Yeah. Actually, I'm really looking forward to that right now.
Now, I mean, you're hungry, I know. And I have to go check it out as well, because I feel a little bit like a newcomer to the city. And really, I can absolutely attest to that, what you said, like in the last 5 years, what has changed. I've been living abroad now for 13 years. I feel I'm coming back to Vienna, and I'm like my mind is blown as well on how, because usually you say, it doesn't change that much. That's what I always said when I just came to visit for like a week or two, a year. But now that I'm back here living here, I actually see, wow, there, just when you're looking at the restaurants, space, like how many vegan, vegetarian options there are. It's nice. I love that. I love that suggestion. I will do that. I will do that too, Reinhard.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the really nice talk. And really looking forward to also the next episodes on your podcast.
Thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you so much. Again, please subscribe to our newsletter at #impact.com/subscribe if you want to get a little bit of a look behind the scenes of how I'm setting up the recording studio here in my new home in Vienna. And of course, you will also get to know our co-hosts a bit better in that newsletter too. I'm so excited for you to hear our upcoming episodes with our very talented co-host Juhi. She recorded wonderful episodes with really amazing guests based in Sweden, now I don't know. I think one of her guests was based in Hong Kong, but at the time of recording was just in London, I believe. Well, anyways, you are in for a treat if you're tuning in to our upcoming episodes. And until then, I hope you're doing really, really well. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I talk to you very soon. Next time, I promise, in an actual set up proper recording studio so that you get the best sound quality again, the one that you are used to here at #Impact. Talk to you soon. Bye.